Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from AlexMercedCoder.dev, and this will be video number 3. So we have our server running, we have models, now we just need to create routes for logging in, and then routes to handle, those models once you're logged in. Okay, so first step is we're going to want some controllers, so we're going to create 2 controllers, one for auth purposes, and that's going to be like login, log out, that kind of thing. And then we need another controller for the purposes of a note. So a note controller for all the note routes. Let me just rename that to .js. Okay, so first I'm going to head over to the auth controller, and we just need to kind of set this up. So I'm going to import express from express, because that's where we're going to get router from. I need to import, in this case, I need to import the user model. I need to import bcrypt, because we need to encrypt passwords. From bcrypt.js, we need to import JWT from JSON Web Token. And we need to, that's, I think, pretty good. Okay. So we need to create the router. So that's going to be const router equals express.router. That creates the router. Then what we're going to want is create 3 routes. So first route, so first we need a login route. Okay, login submission. Actually, technically we need sign up permission first. Sign up post login post logout post, because now since the cookie is managed by the server, like in with a JWT token managed by the headers, all we need to do is just not provide or basically destroy the token on the front end, and you'd effectively be logged out. Since we're using it through the cookie, we need to destroy the cookie, and that has to happen from the server side. So we're going to need a logout route. Okay, so I'm going to say router.post /signup and rec res. Right now we're just going to put out all these shell functions just to kind of get this stuff all set up. Make sure it's async, because we're going to be doing all sorts of async stuff. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing for login, and the same thing for logout. Cool. Okay, so bottom line is this. What's going to happen is that if you sign up, we should be receiving a request body. Okay, and the first thing we're going to want to do is encrypt the password of the request body, because the user's password's got to be encrypted. So let's do that first. So we're going to say const, we don't even need to do that, rec.body.password equals decrypt dot hash. We'll use hash sync so that we don't have to worry about. Well, I might as well do it hash, because what the difference is, hash is asynchronous, hash sync is synchronous, so you don't have to worry about await. But I have async set up, so I can just be like await decrypt hash. Okay, and then this takes a string, which is going to be rec.body.password. That's the string, and then it needs a salt. So it would be await decrypt.gen salt, because again, gen salt is asynchronous, gen salt sync is synchronous. And then we'll just put in like 10 rounds. There we go. There we go. So that's going to hash the password. Okay, so yay. Then we need to generate the user. Okay, so const user equals await user dot create. Okay, yeah, we do have the user model coming in, user dot create, and then we should pass in rec.body, and that should create the user. And then we just send a response of some sort. So res response, and we're going to say res.json status user created. Okay, cool. And then that should do the job. Okay, now I should do some error handling. So I'll just put in a try block. Just keep it simple. Try. And then I will wrap that all the way around here. That's where the try block will end. So then we'll have a catch block. A catch block always receives any errors that are thrown inside the try block. And then what we'll do is we'll do res.status for status 400.json, and we'll send an object with a property called error that equals whatever that error is. Okay. Cool. Okay, so that's the sign up route. Let me just save this so that way it's nice and puts it all nice and pretty. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Basically, user submits the form. We're gonna get the form. We're gonna hash the password, then create a user from it, and then just send a message saying, "Hey, everything went all right." Okay, now the login post. This is where most of the work is gonna be. Okay, so here what we need to do is first we need to see, hey, is there a user by this name? Okay, so we need to like get the user. Okay, so first thing we need to do is say, okay, user dot find, and we need to find it based on the username. So I'm going to say username, and probably make life a little bit easier. Probably should do this, const username password, and get that from the rec.body. So that way we don't have to type in rec.body.username, rec.body.password over and over again. And that way I can use object shorthand, so that way I can do username instead of username : rec.body.username. Okay, so that's going to find the user, but we need to save that in a variable. So const user equals await user.find. So that's going to find me the user if it exists. So then I'm going to check, hey, does the user exist? So I'm going to say if user, because it's going to be undefined if the user doesn't exist. Okay, now if the user doesn't exist, which would be the else block, then what we're going to want to do is say, well, res.status 400.json error user does not exist. Okay. And then I should probably wrap this all in a try block. Okay, and then we'll just do a catch error. And then copy the same responses up here. Let me just save that so that it's all spaced out a little bit better. Okay, so now if the user does exist, then we need to check, does the password match? So then we're going to do say const, we'll just make a variable called password check equals, and then we're going to use bcrypt, so await bcrypt.compare instead of compare sync. Again, when there isn't the word sync, then it's asynchronous, so you have to await it because it's returning a promise. Bcrypt compare. What I want to do here is I want to take the string, which is going to be the password, so password, and I want to compare it to the user, the from the database, so that would be user.password. Okay, and then that'll compare to see if they're the same thing. And then we're going to check, hey, if password check is true, and if password check is not true, then we're going to send another error response. So I'll just copy this over. Except this time we'll say the password does not match. Okay. Cool. And then if the passwords do match, then technically the user is effectively logged in. And what we're going to want to do is send a response that sets the cookie. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to head over here and take a look at like how that's going to look like. I always forget exactly the. Here it is. So wait, well we got to assign the token, so can't forget to do that. So basically, we're going to take the data that we want to save for the user, because we're going to want that data anytime we want to know who the user is, and that's all going to be provided to us from the JWT token. Instead of saving the user information on the server, we're saving it in the token, and then we always just fish it from the token. So I'm going to do that here. So I'm going to say const payload. We'll call it payload equals just a password. I mean, a object with the username. That's what really all I care about right now. I just want to be able to fetch that logged in user's username every time they send a request. And basically, then we're going to create a token, const token. It's going to equal jwt.sign. And we're going to put in the payload. So that's the payload's the first argument. The second argument is the secret. So we need to be able to get the secret. That's from our .env. So I'm going to need to import .env. .env from .env. And then, bring in those in variables. So .env.config. So now I can be like, okay, over here, the secret is process.env.secret. And then I could pass in other configurations if I want to, but I won't. That should do the job. And again, that is asynchronous, so I want to await that. Cool, so that should do that. So that should give me the token. Now, once I have the token, going back to like my blog post here, okay, what we want to do is send a response that includes a cookie. Okay, so we're going to say res.cookie. Okay, and the cookie, we have to give the cookie a name, so we're going to call it token. Okay, the value of the cookie is going to be the token. Okay, and then all those cookie options, and then this is where we would want to say like HTTP only. So we pass this object that's going to have all the options, and the only option we really care about is HTTP only, and we're going to say that's true. So that way, again, the front end can't touch the cookie, like they can't access it in that JavaScript for security purposes. But we also want to send a JSON response, so it's res.cookie.json technically, and in response we'll just send the payload object, and then we'll also send status logged in, so that way they can see that, hey, it's logged in. Okay, so we have a way to know that that actually like did the job. Okay, and then that should do it. And then the cookie should be set up. Good. And the logout, we just want to destroy the cookie. That's all I should do. So here we have the logout. It's just literally this line right here. I'll just literally copy it because it's the same thing. Copy. Paste. And basically all that does is going to delete the cookie and then send the JSON response that says you are logged out. And technically any further authenticated requests will fail. Okay, cool. So those are the routes, and then we want to export the router. So export default router. And then we're going to want to register that with our server. Okay, so I'll bring that over here. Import auth router from /controller/auth.js. And then we want to register that. So I'll go over here with my routes and just be able to do like an app.use. The prefix for these routes are going to be /auth. And they're going to use the auth. Anything with the /auth is going to be using the auth router. So technically it'll be like /auth/login /auth/signup. Cool. So let's try that out. npm run dev. See what it doesn't like. auth.js. On the controller folder, auth.js. Yes, and I did. Oh wait, user. I forgot to put the .js over here. Again, the whole ES modules thing where you got to put the JS. Okay, user is not defined. Did I not export user from the models? Well, let's see here, user. export default user. Oh, I see what I did wrong here. We did not make a variable called user. And there we go. Okay, we're up in action. So let me open up Insomnia so we can test out these routes. It's opening, it's opening, it's opening. Okay, so localhost 4000, but this time the route's really going to be auth/signup. So let's sign up first. And we're going to want a JSON body. Okay, so let's do that. So the username, we'll call it test1. And the password will be test1. Okay, let's see. Okay, user was created. We got the right response, so that's positive. Okay, now if that's the case, I should be able to log in successfully. So let's change it to auth/login. Then again, same username and password that I'm sending over. Error. Okay, so something was unsuccessful there. Okay, so chances are like whatever error was thrown wasn't done via a throw, so you get these empty objects. It just really means an error was passed in. So what I gotta do is figure out where the error occurred. Okay, so generally my strategy for this, so this is going to be in the login route, is I am going to do a count. So what I'm going to do is do console.count. And then we're going to give the count a name. So we're going to just say, hey, login. And I'm going to put this before every line of code. Because basically I'll be able to see exactly which line of code caused the problem. Okay, by seeing how high it counted. Okay, and then technically there's one more line right here. Okay, technically there would just be an error. I don't really care about counting the errors. So now let's try that again. So I'll hit send. It's going to error, I know that. But what I can do now is I can go back here and I can take a look at the count. So login 1, login 2, login 3. So starting from the first count, 1, 2, 3. So it got to here, and it's the very next line where it fails. Okay, so basically what's happening is that somewhere this comparison is not working correctly. So what I'm going to, so the next step I want to do is figure out, hey, am I comparing the right things? So I'm going to console.log password and user.password. Okay, and see what I get. So again, this is going to error again, I know that, but what I want to see is a log for diagnostic purposes. So if I go back here, okay, and see the user doesn't have a password. Okay, so that makes me want to go check my model. Password type string required true. It is required, so why am I not seeing it? Okay, user. Okay, so then that begs the question, what is user? Console.count, console.log, user. Let's see what that user variable holds. And hit send. Okay, I get the error. And then let's go take a look at those console logs. Oh, I always make this mistake. I always make this problem. Okay, so you see here, yeah, that's the right user. That worked. But here's the thing. It's inside of an array. So technically I have to be like 0. Because I'm using the wrong thing here. Find is always going to give you back an array, because you might find more than one. What I want to do is find 1. Okay, and find 1, we'll only find 1 and put it in as an object. Okay, so now if I run this again, see now it works. See, I'm logged in. And so you see I received a cookie. So the cookie works. Yay. Okay, so that's all working as expected. Okay, but if I take a look at my console logs now, so you see now the log is logging just an object, not an object in an array. Okay, I always make that mistake, and you can see now it counts all the way. Okay, so cool. Okay, and then we can try the logout route. So right now I have this cookie. Let's see if that cookie goes away when I do log out. Okay, and see now the cookie value is gone. Okay, so that all works fine and good. Okay, so I'll see you guys in the next video where we'll actually now apply apply it to the actual routes on getting notes and stuff.